G'day folks, how you doing? Neil Kelleher here, and I'm about to take you on a journey through the most insane, crazy, international corrupt police witch hunt in the recent history of mankind. All right, this is my story. All right, how I've been chased around the world for 4.5 years by corrupt police from Australia, specifically Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad, in conjunction with Melbourne Organised Crime Squad, and also in conjunction with Queensland Crime and Corruption Commission. Okay, what their goal was to entrap me as a drug dealer, and thereby force me, since I wasn't a drug dealer, to reveal certain information they believed I had about suspected supplies of drugs into Queensland, Australia. Okay. Now, before I begin, this is probably episode number 1 of probably a 30 episode series. Okay, this has spanned 13 countries, 4.5 years. All right, that's how long they've been chasing me, and in all that time they've been trying to frame me as a drug dealer, a drug addict, mentally ill, all of the above, in order to silence me and discredit me, so as you won't believe what I'm about to show you, which is the absolute truth. Okay, so also before I begin, I'd like to dedicate this story, this series, to two of my dear friends who passed away during this saga. Two of my lifelong dear friends. All right, so Cameron Wilson, a friend of mine over 25 years, passed away about 2 years ago, almost. And another friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, Roger Fox, just passed away last October, which was very, very sad. Okay, so this is dedicated to you guys, all right? And I told you I'd deal with this in the end, and this is me dealing with it, all right? So here we go, all right? So back in 2019 in Queensland, Australia, a former friend of mine by the name of Lee Undy became a covert police informant for the police. All right, he was caught trafficking 1 kilo of cocaine into Queensland. All right, in Queensland, that particular drug is a Class A drug, and that particular quantity would have qualified him for up to 25-year prison sentence. Okay, so he decided to become an informant. All right, but he didn't want to do it the normal way. He wanted to become a covert informant because he was too much of a coward to actually write a statement and testify against the people he was giving up. All right, so what did he do instead? He strapped on a special recording ankle bracelet to his ankle in place of the traditional bail anklet, okay? And he recorded conversations for the police. All right, and the first one he did it for was me. He set me up in a cafe in Queensland, made me look complicit in his crimes during a conversation we had in the cafe. And then that gave the police enough confidence to believe that I had knowledge of, his, drug dealing, and that I had knowledge of his suppliers. Okay, the goal was for them to entrap me as a drug dealer, and then coerce me, force me into testifying against those who they were actually seeking in Melbourne. Okay, and their plan was to have me and Christian Webb, who was the original gentleman that was caught selling the cocaine on behalf of Lee Undy. They planned to have me and Christian testify against Melbourne, and thereby nobody would know it was Lee Undy that had orchestrated it and given everybody up. All right. So on that note, let me show you this wonderful fella. Okay, so Lee Undy. All right, there you go. That's Lee Undy. All right, and that there on his ankle is the recording device. Okay, so just to give you some context, all right, so this is what he was wearing before, okay? This one here, the little grey one, that's a traditional GPS locator bracelet, anklet, that's provided to people on bail in Queensland, all right? QPS, Queensland Police Service, I believe it is, bail anklet, all right? Little grey one. That's what he was wearing prior to becoming a covert informant, okay? Mid-May 2019, that was swapped for this one. Okay, so a slight difference, as you can see. All right, before, after. All right, there you go. Now, if you can't tell the difference between those two, if you can't tell that that is a recording device and that's a traditional GPS locator, then you probably need to get to Specsavers, okay? So for years, they've tried to discredit me because I hold this evidence, okay? Now that bracelet, there's a better look at it, okay? So it contains some very, very, very gnarly technology, all right? So I'll read it out to you, all right? So GPS, GPRS, GSM, dual SIM, Wi-Fi and RF, okay? So they're all methods of sending data, okay? So basically this thing was a recording device, okay? I believe it was voice activated, so every time he had a conversation with anyone, the microphone would turn on and it would record the conversation internally onto, that's why it's so big, all right? It's so big because I believe it had internal hard drives as well as long life batteries, okay? So it would record onto the hard drive, okay, on here, onto the hard drive, but then it would also broadcast back to base via the SIMs, okay? So yeah, also, sorry, let me just point out this little lever at the bottom here, okay? Now I believe that was a duress alarm, a panic alarm. So if ever anyone was onto him, what he was doing, he could give that a little flick and the police would come and save him. I don't believe it was a trigger for the microphone because he would have to press it every time and that would look suspicious. So I believe that was a duress alarm, okay? So that little lever on the bottom, I believe was a duress alarm in case he was in trouble, okay? Now, just to give you a better look at the traditional one, all right, so that's the traditional bail anklet. This is back in 2019, so I don't know if they still use them, all right? And that was just a GPS locator bail anklet, okay? So significantly different to this thing that he strapped on in the middle of May 2019 to record everybody's conversations, okay? And I know it's a recording device because he took me to the cafe, changed the topic of the conversation to implicate me as being involved in some activities with him. And then it was 2 weeks after that, on May 24th, 2019, that Queensland Police, specifically Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad, tried to entrap me in an apartment in Palm Cove. All right, what they did there was crazy. All right, they gassed the apartment, tried to knock me out, and they also supplied me with spiked methamphetamine. All right, so yeah, I mean, that was the beginning of all this craziness. All right, and way back then, I just thought it was a rogue operation by Queensland Police to catch me so they could get themselves a big case and bloody blah. All right. Little did I know that began the following four and a half years pursuit through 13 countries, encompassing 5 different drug entrapment attempts. So they tried 5 times to set me up with drugs. I knew what they were doing, obviously, which is how come I let them try that many times. All right. I used to lay bait, lay traps, and then reel them in, and then I'd catch them and expose them. All right. Much like I'm doing now and have been doing for 4.5 years. All right. They kept trying because they were, misguided in their own ignorance that they were competent enough to catch me. All right. They never were. They never were. They never have. They never will. And that's why we are here where we are now. Okay. So anyway, why is it now I'm telling you this 4.5 years later? Because it took me until September the 10th, 2023 to get the final piece of evidence I needed so that everyone will believe this now, because they're up until this point, the police have done a very good job of defaming me, slandering me, assassinating my character, painting me as crazy, drug addict, drug dealer, nuts, whatever you want to call it. I mean, just the typical stuff that they do to discredit the person that's speaking the truth, okay? So, 10th of September 2023, I get this message. Now, you can't read that because it's back to front, from Lee Undy, okay? So, 24th of August 2023, Lee Undy starts messaging me in Thailand whilst the cops, Interpol, were trying to set me up there again. So just, 6 months ago. Just under 6 months ago, okay? So anyway, he sent me a few messages, having a whinge, as usual, because he's a crybaby, trying to, talk me out of, what I've said. He's, trying to make me think that I was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so let me just read this to you, okay? So, in the grey, all right. Mate, you have been a grub of a friend after all I've done for you, but it's all backfired on you because no one believes it, okay? Because you know and I know the truth and you couldn't produce it, okay? You know and I know the truth and you couldn't produce it. He's basically just admitted right there in text what he's done, Okay, he's said it, black and white, grey and black on the Facebook messages. All right, so you couldn't produce it. All right, I'm not sure if he knew I'd produced it or not, but I'd already produced it by this stage. I produced an entire document called the undeniable rat facts. Okay, everything's in that document, except that's been suppressed as much as possible by the police, so maybe not that many people have seen it, but it's out there. I've already posted it. All right, anyway, here he goes on. This gets better. He goes, I'm enjoying the crypto. I drive in a Bentley. Next I'm about to buy a Rolls Royce while you're traveling the world, live off crumbs. Let me tell you something. Crumbs taste great when you live with integrity and authenticity. All right? When you speak the truth, when you live the truth, when you're authentic. Hey, I'd rather live off crumbs, to be perfectly honest. All right? And at the bottom here, and mate, when you post a picture of the listening device of the ankle bracelet, do your research, because the one in Australia don't have them and you posted an American one. Okay. Well, if I posted an American one, what's it doing on your ankle, mate? All right, right there on your ankle. All right, so, I mean, come on, like seriously, if you can't tell the difference between that as a GPS locator and that as a recording device, then, like I said, you need to go to Specsavers. Okay, so that was September the 10th, 2023. I got that final piece of evidence. All right, so what are we now? Middle of Feb 2024. All right, so up until this point, I've been trying to finalize, rectify, put this whole thing to bed. All right, I've tried to make a deal with the police, okay, which is a combination of the Australian authorities, right? So Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad were the ones that set me up in the first place. Melbourne Organised Crime Squads were the ones that were, seeking to make a case against people in Melbourne who they suspected of supplying drugs to Undy. Right, Queensland Crime and Corruption Commission were involved because it was a whole big thing with money laundering and stuff like that as well. All right, then it went to Interpol. All right, chased me through Thailand. All right, chased me through the UK, then chased me through the USA, then chased me through Dominican Republic. All right, then through what did I go after that? Dominican Republic. Oh, got stuck there on COVID, but then I got back to the UK. Chased me through the UK again. Then I went from there to Malta. They didn't chase me in Malta, they just hacked me whilst I was there. Went from there to Portugal, they chased me through Portugal. And don't get me, what you got to understand here is I was always a step ahead of them, always, throughout the entire saga, all right? And they just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming, all right? Portugal, then from Portugal to Dubai, chased me through Dubai, then from Dubai back to, where did I go after that? Back to the UK, I think. All right, so back to the UK, and oh yeah, that's right. Then I went from there to Cambodia, and then from Cambodia back to Thailand, and then back to the UK, back to Thailand a couple of times since then. All right, so they've actually chased me through Thailand 3 times, and they chased me through the UK 3 times. Okay, total of 5 different drug entrapments. Okay, and sorry, just looking at one of my next piece of evidence. 5 different drug entrapments. And then finally, in the UK, on the 17th of August, 2022, they tried to assassinate me, okay, here at my home in Luton, all right? Now, I realise that probably sounds extremely far-fetched or crazy. And I'll tell you what, until you've lived it, I would have thought it was far-fetched and crazy too, but they definitely did it. All right, so what they did there was they placed a liquid hydrogel on the door handle to our front door of the building, all right, which was designed to induce a heart attack, okay? And I touched this stuff on my fingers. I was like, what's that? And I've come inside, I've washed my hands quickly. Immediately I was suspicious because I knew they were sniffing around. And, washed my hands as quick as I could. Then I sat down and I actually set a timer on my phone because I thought, oh, fucking hell, they've poisoned me, right? And they had, all right? And sure enough, within a few minutes, my heart rate started to rise, all right? And then it went up and up and up. And that's when I, started to panic and literally ran to the kitchen, grabbed a bottle of charcoal. I took 15 capsules of charcoal immediately, all right? But then I thought, shit, that might not work in time because it takes, 10 to 15 minutes for the capsules to break down and get your intestines. So I then opened up another 15 capsules of charcoal into a glass of water, stirred it in and sculled that, because that only takes a few minutes to get into the system. And my heart rate peaked at about 168. And Then I was, taking my heart rate. I was looking at my stopwatch, timing it. It remained stable for about 5-10 minutes or whatever, and then it started to come down. So I kind of, decided then that I was safe. All right, but this is 100% true. Okay, this has been reported to the police. Who denied it and called me crazy. They called it fanciful, all right, which is to be expected because the entire time throughout this whole saga, they've been denying everything and refusing to investigate. All right, so anyway, that's been reported. All right, they just denied it, claimed it was fanciful, wouldn't happen. I'm crazy, got mental health issues. All right, now if I was lying, which I'm not, then they would have charged me with making false allegations against the police and making false statements to the police. Which they haven't and they won't because they don't want to look at my evidence, all right? So if they did that, they would have to look at the evidence I have against them all, and they won't do that, all right? So that's why we're here doing this video, because they won't look at the evidence and they keep trying to bury it and they keep coming after me, all right? So enough is enough. I've tried to make a deal. I offered them a deal. I said, look, I will give you the evidence. We'll go our separate ways. We'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. You compensate me for what you've done over the last 4.5 years, and that's it. We go our separate ways. Everybody's happy. But they won't do that because they seem to think they've got power to silence me, but they don't. All right, so it's been an ongoing battle between us for 4.5 years. Okay, I suppose from their side of the fence, they're trying to save face. They want to catch me. They want to set me up and shut me up without paying me off. All right, which is what I've asked for. I've asked for money, obviously. Of course, I've asked for money. 4.5 years of my life they've stolen. I said £5 million pound. That is now. Back when I first made the deal in 21, I said $5 million Australian. Now it's £5 million I asked for. All right. And I'll be honest with you, that's peanuts in the scheme of things. People might think that's a lot of money. It's not. All right. Particularly not when someone's stolen 4.5 years of your life and tried to murder you. Okay. So anyway, moving on. Where was I? Yeah. So, right. Where are we now? After the attempted assassination, I then spent another year and a half, I suppose it is. So that was 17th of August 2022. I spent another year and a half gathering additional evidence against Interpol, and specifically in the UK, the NCA, which is the National Crime Agency. So in the UK, Interpol is the NCA, all right, National Crime Agency. All right. So for an entire month after the assassination attempt, they had me under 24-hour surveillance, 7 days a week. They had a surveillance van parked in our car park, plus they had bugs in the house. It's called intrusive surveillance. All right, which can only be authorised by the Home Secretary from the Home Office. Okay, so we're talking at the top of the chain. All right. So anyway, I just lay. What did I do then? I was running my own sort of covert undercover operation against them. So I was taking photos of them, gathering pictures, gathering evidence. All right. So I've got photos of their vans. I've got photos of their operatives. I've got their number plates. I've got proof of them hacking me, etc., etc. I mean, I've got all of this stuff. I mean, that's why this is episode 1. We're talking about, over 30 episodes spanning 4.5 years, 30, 34, 35 folders of evidence I've got. All right. So that was immediately after the assassination attempt in 2022. So September, October, that's when they were here. Then I went back overseas, went back to Thailand. I spent some time with my dear friend Roger before he passed away. All right. And then I came back here 2023, in July 2023, I came back. And lo and behold, for another month, they were parked outside down the street in the same van. I can't believe they used the same van. Seriously, I thought they would have at least swapped vans, but no, same van. And again, I spent a month gathering evidence. All right. So photographs of the van, the number plate, 24 hours a day whilst they were here, all times of the day, all times of the night. They came and go occasionally, pretty much coincided with when I came and went. So maybe they were following me, I don't know. But anyway, they were here for over a month until I left again in August 2023. That's when I went back to Thailand and I threatened to do this video series, what I'm doing now. And second I landed in Thailand, they turned up at my resort and knocked out the Wi-Fi, so I couldn't shoot videos. I had a really weak connection from a distant router at the resort, but the router that was next to my room was turned off. Okay, and then that's when they tried to set me up there. They had a friend of mine offer me some drugs and asked me to come over, and I said, no, thank you. I can't risk doing any drugs for obvious reasons, And yeah, that's when Lee Undy started messaging me. So 24th of August, 2023. And then on the 10th of September, he sent that message incriminating himself. All right. And anyway, so then I've come back from Thailand. And here we are, back in the UK. I didn't actually get back here until last month, January, because I was in Italy for just about a month, and then I was in Ireland for a couple of weeks when I got back. So now I'm back here now. I've made complaints to the police professional standards, the NCA professional standards. I've offered them the deal, okay? And they're just stalling, which is what they do, whilst they simultaneously look at ways to try and set me up. So, you know, this phone I'm using right now is a brand new one that I bought for the camera recording ability, and also because I know it's not hacked, okay? My phone is hacked, my laptop is hacked, everything's hacked, okay? Has been for years, okay? I do not have any privacy. Every message, every text message, every email, everything I say and do is listened to, everything is intercepted. They're called intercepts, and that's what they do, okay? So anyway, so that's why we're here now doing this video. All right, I told them, look, let's put this to bed, let's make a deal, and we go our separate ways. And but they've refused to do that to this point. And yeah, like I said, this phone I'm using is a new phone, and I went to buy it on Friday with my card on the internet, and bang, my card was blocked the second I tried to buy this phone. And on that website where I tried to buy it, wouldn't work. I then transferred money to a different card, tried again, wouldn't work. In the end, I actually had to go to a completely different website and transfer the money to a different card, and I used that card to buy the phone, and here we are. All right, so they tried to stop me from buying this phone and shooting these videos, because they can't see what I'm doing right here, right now, because this phone's not hacked. Okay, so here we are. So, bada boom, bada bing. That's basically episode one of the series. Okay, so just quick recap. This guy, Lee Undy, okay, busted in late 2018 it was, for trafficking a kilo of cocaine into Queensland. Became a covert informant in May 2019, and that bracelet, okay, that bracelet there, that I've been happily showing you. I'll give you another better look. Okay, better look. There you go. That bracelet, he wore that for over 2 years whilst he was on bail in Queensland, recording conversations for the police for that entire duration of time. Okay, so he is not a nice bloke. Okay, he's a spineless coward, and he set up his best mate at the time. I was one of his best mates. I lived with him. He took me to breakfast and set me up. And then since then, he's been, defaming and slandering me, for multiple years, claiming that I'm jealous of him, and that I've made this entire story up, and that I'm a drug addict, and I'm, bada boom, bada bing, all of the above. Okay. Now, well, I'll just finish this one up here right now, but let me just tell you, in July 2021, I actually gave his identity as the informant away. All right? I'd actually sat on that for 7 months. I knew back in December 2020 that he was the informant. I mean, I had the proof, like the ankle bracelet proof. I'd known since 2019, obviously. All right. So, yeah, July 2021, I began releasing the fact that he was an informant to the world. I did it in a YouTube video, and that video had over 1,500 views within 24 hours. But then, sadly, people were making threats against people in town that were connected to Lee Undy, who I cared about, and I didn't want them to get in any trouble or have any negative consequences of me revealing that. So I took the video down, because I'm a nice bloke. It's called fucking being a decent guy. It's called being a good cunt in Australia. I'm a good cunt. All right. Now, let me just remind you of that fact. Okay, so July 21, I revealed the fact that Lee Undy's an informant. Okay, now all of that time, Christian Webb, who was the original gentleman that got caught selling the cocaine on behalf of Lee Undy, who Lee Undy manipulated into selling it. Okay, and then Lee Undy left him to get caught, because we all knew he was going to get caught. All right, I tried to help him get out of town before he got busted, but sadly it wasn't to be. Anyway, his name was Christian Webb. On the 8th of September, I don't know if you can see that in those back to front. 8th of September 2021. Okay, Christian Webb sends me a message on Facebook. All right, and I'll read you the message, because me and Christian are still mates to this day. I've got no problem with Christian. I love the guy. All right. Hello, buddy. Your video meant a lot to me. I've been to hell and back. I would love to hear from you. So basically what that's telling you is that shortly after I'd released the proof, well, you can't really call it proof because this is the proof, but shortly after I released that video revealing Lee Undy as the informant, the police's case against whoever they were tracking in Melbourne was completely dead in the water, completely finished. And they had no choice but to cut Christian loose, because up until that point they had him hidden or put away or in protective custody or whatever. They had him somewhere, okay, because they needed him and me to make the case against whoever they were tracking in Melbourne. All right. Once I'd revealed the video about Lee, they had no case, because I told the world what he had done. All right. So on that note, that's the end of episode 1. Okay. So episode 2, I haven't decided what that one will be yet. Maybe I'll release the entire timeline of events proving the fact that Lee Undy is the informant. But if I have to do that now to convince anyone, well, you know, they can't be convinced. You can lead people to the truth, but you can't help them accept it. Okay, and that's the that's how come the police and Undy have been so confident for all this time, because they've told the same lies about me and about everything over and over again so many times to the people, to the masses, that the masses believe it. You know, it's a standard brainwashing technique. You talk the same bullshit over and over again enough times from a number of different sources, and the people will believe it. Okay, yeah, and what they do to the person telling the truth, they attack, they discredit. You know, they try and frame you, they try and silence you. You know, they try and make you look crazy, they try and set you up as a drug addict or a drug dealer. You know, and when all that fails, they just try and whack you. Right? Oh, dear God. And I can laugh about it, because they can't do that now. They can't. You don't get 2 shots at that. All right? They can't try and whack me again. If they were going to, they would have tried already in Thailand or Cambodia. All right, which they haven't. They certainly won't try here, because I've told the police, the professional standards, the police and crime commissioners, the MPs, yeah, all of these different government bodies have told exactly what they've done. All right, so there's no burying it now. You know, they can deny it and you know, refuse to acknowledge what's happened, and they can refuse to investigate for all I care. I don't care now. Like, I've given them the opportunity to put this to bed. They've chosen not to, and they forced me into this position whereby I have to release everything. And so, bada boom, bada bing. So it will be, okay? So instead of waffling on, that's 27 minutes already. We'll leave that there for today. So that's the end of episode 1. And yeah, thanks for watching if you've watched, okay? And look, I mean, please stay tuned, because this is going to get a hell of a lot better. All right? This is just episode 1. I'm going to take you through the entire 4.5 years, the entire 13-country saga, the entire 3 different attempts on me in the UK. There was like one, they tried to facilitate an entrapment. Another time they tried to, assassinate me, obviously. And then the final times now, just messing with me, trying to prevent me from shooting these videos, trying to keep me quiet long enough until they could figure out what to do with me, basically. So anyway, like I said, that's enough for today. I will take you through the entire saga during the next however many episodes it takes. And I'm going to go back to the beginning, all the way back to 2019, and I'm going to take you through each evidence folder, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, over the next 4.5 years. And I'm going to show you the evidence like I've been showing you here. Okay? All right, folks, on that note, thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one.